There are moments in life when everything inside you pushes for an immediate reaction. Your emotions rise fast, strong, and convincing, telling you to speak now, act now, decide now. It feels natural to follow that impulse, to let the feeling lead the way, because in that moment it feels real and urgent. But what feels right in the moment is not always right for your future. Many people build their lives on these quick reactions, and over time they find themselves stuck, repeating the same mistakes, wondering why nothing truly changes. The truth is, emotional impulses are powerful, but they are not reliable. They come and go, shifting with every situation, every word, every challenge. If you allow them to guide your actions, your life will always move without direction. You will start things and not finish them. You will make decisions you later regret. You will waste energy on things that do not move you forward. That is the cost of living without control. Replacing those impulses with purposeful action is where transformation begins. It means you stop reacting and start thinking. You stop rushing and start choosing. You begin to understand that every action should serve a direction, a goal, a vision that is bigger than how you feel in a single moment. Because when your actions are guided by purpose, they carry weight, they create progress, and they build something lasting. This is about stepping into a higher level of discipline, where your mind leads and your emotions follow. It is about becoming aware of what you feel, without becoming controlled by it. It is about turning every situation into an opportunity to act with intention instead of impulse. And once you learn how to do that, you begin to move differently, think differently, and live differently. With clarity, focus, and a sense of control that cannot be easily shaken. There will be moments in your life when everything inside you is loud, restless, and demanding a reaction. Your heart starts racing, your thoughts begin to scatter, and your emotions rise like a storm ready to take control. In those moments, it feels natural to respond instantly, to speak quickly, to act without thinking, because that is what most people do. They let the feeling decide the action. They let anger choose their words, fear choose their direction, and frustration choose their behavior. But that path leads to regret, confusion, and missed opportunities. Acting with purpose means stepping into a different level of awareness. It means you recognize the emotion, you feel it fully, but you do not let it drive the wheel. You pause, even when it is uncomfortable, even when everything inside you is pushing you to react. That pause is power. That pause is where control is born. Because in that space between feeling and action, you get to decide who you are going to be. You see, emotions are temporary, but actions have consequences that can last a lifetime. One moment of anger can damage a relationship. One moment of fear can stop you from taking a chance that could change everything. One moment of doubt can keep you stuck in the same place for years. When you act with purpose, you are choosing long-term growth over short-term relief. You are saying that your future matters more than your current feeling. There is strength in being calm when everything around you is chaotic. There is power in staying silent when you are provoked. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you understand that not every situation deserves your energy. Purpose teaches you to be selective. It teaches you to protect your focus, to guard your peace, and to move only when it aligns with where you are trying to go. Most people confuse intensity with strength. They think reacting quickly, speaking loudly, or showing every emotion is a sign of power. But real strength is quiet. Real strength is controlled. It is the ability to look at a situation that is trying to pull you down and choose to rise above it instead. It is the discipline to hold your ground when your emotions are trying to push you in the wrong direction. When you start acting with purpose, you begin to notice a shift in your life. You stop wasting time on things that do not matter. You stop engaging in arguments that lead nowhere. You stop chasing validation from people who do not understand your vision. Your energy becomes focused, your mind becomes clear, and your actions become intentional. And that is when progress starts to happen. Purpose gives your life direction. It becomes your compass when emotions try to confuse you. When fear tells you to quit, purpose reminds you why you started. When anger tells you to lash out, purpose reminds you what is at stake. When doubt tells you that you are not enough, purpose stands firm and tells you to keep moving forward anyway. This does not mean it will be easy. There will be days when your emotions feel overwhelming, when the pressure feels too heavy, when it seems easier to just give in and react. But growth is found in those moments. Every time you choose purpose over impulse, you are training your mind. You are building discipline. You are becoming stronger than you were before. You have to understand that you are not your emotions. They are a part of you, but they do not define you. You are defined by your choices, by your actions, by the way you respond when life tests you. And life will test you again and again to see if you are ready to rise to the level you say you want to reach. Acting with purpose also means taking responsibility for your life. It means you stop blaming others for how you feel and start focusing on what you can control. You cannot control every situation. You cannot control what people say or do, but you can control your response. And that response is where your power lies. When you master this, you become unstoppable in a different kind of way. Not loud, not reckless, but focused, disciplined, and intentional. You move with clarity. You speak with meaning. You act with direction. And people will notice it, not because you are trying to impress them, but because your presence carries a different energy. You begin to build a life that is not dictated by moods or circumstances, but by vision and purpose. A life where your actions are aligned with your goals, where your decisions are guided by what truly matters, and where your emotions no longer control your destiny. And in those moments when everything inside you is trying to take over, when the pressure rises and the emotions come rushing in, that is when you remind yourself who you are becoming. That is when you stand still, take a breath, and choose to act with purpose, because that choice, repeated again and again, is what shapes your future and sets you apart from those who let their emotions decide their path and keeps you moving forward with strength, clarity, and control without losing yourself in the noise of temporary feelings. There will be days when you wake up and you do not feel like doing what needs to be done. The alarm goes off and your body feels heavy. Your mind starts making excuses before your feet even touch the ground. It tells you to rest a little longer, to wait for the right mood, to come back to your goals when you feel more ready. That is how temporary feelings begin to take control, quietly, almost politely, until one day you realize they have been running your life. Discipline does not ask you how you feel. It asks you who you are becoming. It stands firm when your emotions start to shift, when motivation fades, and when comfort tries to pull you back into old habits. Choosing discipline over temporary feelings means you stop negotiating with yourself every time something feels difficult. You make a decision once, and then you honor it, no matter what mood shows up. Feelings are unpredictable. One moment you are confident, the next moment doubt creeps in. One moment you are focused, the next moment you are distracted. If you build your life on something that unstable, you will always be starting and stopping, moving forward and then falling back. But discipline is different. Discipline is steady. It does not rise and fall with your emotions. It stays. Even when everything inside you is trying to quit, think about the goals you say you want, the success, the growth, the peace, the respect. None of that comes from doing things only when you feel like it. It comes from showing up when it is inconvenient. It comes from pushing forward when your energy is low. It comes from doing the work when nobody is watching and when there is no immediate reward. That is where discipline is built, in those quiet, uncomfortable moments where your feelings are telling you to stop, but your purpose is telling you to keep going. There is a cost to following your feelings. It may feel good in the moment to choose comfort, to avoid effort, to give in, to distraction. But that feeling fades quickly, and what replaces it is regret. Regret for the time you wasted, the opportunities you missed, and the potential you did not reach. Discipline, on the other hand, may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it builds something lasting. It builds confidence, strength, and self-respect. When you choose discipline, you are choosing to trust yourself. You are proving that your words mean something. That when you say you are going to do something, you follow through. And that kind of trust is powerful because it changes the way you see yourself. You stop doubting your ability. You stop questioning your commitment. You start to believe that no matter what challenges come your way, you will find a way to push through. This does not mean you ignore your emotions completely. You acknowledge them, you understand them, but you do not let them lead. You feel tired, but you still move. You feel afraid, but you still act. You feel uncertain, but you still take the next step. Because you understand that feelings are temporary, but the results of your actions are lasting. There will be moments when discipline feels like a heavy weight. When you are pushing yourself and it seems like nothing is changing. When the results are slow and the effort feels endless. That is where most people give up. They go back to what feels easy, what feels comfortable. But those who stay disciplined, those who keep showing up even when they do not feel like it, they are the ones who break through. Discipline sharpens your mind. It trains you to focus, to stay consistent, to ignore distractions. It builds resilience because every time you choose it over your feelings, you are proving that you are stronger than your impulses. You are teaching yourself that you are in control, not your mood, not your circumstances, not your momentary desires. And as you continue on this path, something begins to change. The things that once felt hard start to feel normal. The habits that once required effort become automatic. You no longer rely on motivation because discipline has taken its place. You move with intention, with clarity, with a sense of direction that does not waver every time your emotions shift. Choosing discipline over temporary feelings is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. It is about making the right choice more often than not, even when it is uncomfortable. It is about understanding that every small action you take is shaping your future, either building you up or holding you back. So when that moment comes, when your mind starts to whisper excuses, when your body resists, when your emotions try to pull you away from what you know you need to do, that is your test. That is your opportunity to rise above what you feel and step into who you are becoming. You do not wait for the right mood. You do not wait for things to feel easy. You act because you have decided that your goals are more important than your comfort. And over time, those decisions add up. They create momentum. They build a version of you that is focused, strong, and reliable. A version of you that does not break under pressure, that does not quit when things get hard, that does not let temporary feelings dictate a permanent direction. That is the power of discipline. And once you embrace it fully, you begin to move through life with a different kind of confidence, knowing that no matter what you feel in the moment, you have the strength to do what needs to be done and keep moving forward with purpose and control. There is a difference between reacting and responding, and that difference will shape the direction of your life more than you realize. Reaction is instant, emotional, uncontrolled. It happens fast, without thought, driven by whatever feeling rises in the moment. Response is different. Response is measured, intentional, grounded in awareness. It takes strength to pause, to think, to choose your next move instead of letting your emotions choose it for you. Most people live in a constant state of reaction. Someone says something and they fire back without thinking. A situation becomes difficult, and they panic or shut down. Pressure builds, and they make decisions based on fear or frustration. It feels natural, almost automatic, because the mind has been trained over time to follow emotion instead of leading it. But what feels natural is not always what is right, and what is easy is not always what will move you forward. Training your mind to respond means breaking that cycle. It means creating space between what happens to you and how you choose to act. That space might only be a few seconds, but in those seconds lies your power. In those seconds, you can step back from the noise inside your head, from the rush of emotion, and ask yourself what action aligns with the person you are trying to become. You have to understand that not everything deserves a reaction. Not every comment, not every opinion, not every challenge is worth your energy. When you react to everything, you give away control. You allow external situations to dictate your internal state. But when you respond, you choose carefully. You decide what matters and what does not. You protect your peace, your focus, and your direction. This kind of control does not come overnight. It is built through practice, through awareness, through discipline. It starts with noticing your triggers. The things that make you angry, anxious, or frustrated. It continues with recognizing the moment those emotions begin to rise. And then comes the most important step: choosing not to act immediately, choosing to breathe, to slow down, to think that. Pause may feel uncomfortable at first. Your mind will push you to react, to say something, to do something, to release the tension. But that discomfort is where growth happens. Every time you resist the urge to react, you are strengthening your mind. You are proving to yourself that you are not a slave to your emotions, that you have the ability to stay in control even when it is difficult. When you begin to respond instead of react, your life starts to change in ways you did not expect. Your relationships improve because you are no longer speaking out of anger or frustration. Your decisions become clearer because they are not clouded by fear or doubt. Your confidence grows because you know that no matter what situation you face, you have the ability to handle it with control and purpose. There is a quiet power in being calm when everything around you is chaotic. When others are losing control, raising their voices, acting out of emotion, you remain steady. You observe, you think, and then you act with intention. That kind of presence commands respect, not because you are trying to prove something, but because your actions speak with clarity and strength. You begin to see challenges differently. Instead of reacting with frustration when things go wrong, you respond with focus. You look for solutions instead of dwelling on the problem. You ask what can be learned instead of asking why this is happening to you. That shift in mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into lessons. Training your mind in this way also means taking responsibility for your reactions. You stop blaming others for how you feel. You stop saying that someone made you angry or that a situation forced you to act a certain way. You understand that while you cannot control everything that happens, you can control how you respond to it. And that control is enough to change your Netapath. There will be moments when you slip, when you react without thinking, when emotions take over. That is part of the process. What matters is that you become aware of it, that you learn from it, and that you continue to improve. Every step you take toward responding instead of reacting is a step toward becoming stronger, more disciplined, and more in control of your life. Over time, this way of thinking becomes natural. The pause becomes automatic. The awareness becomes sharper. The control becomes stronger. You no longer feel the need to react to everything because you understand that your energy is valuable and your focus is important. You become selective, intentional, and grounded, and in that state, very little can shake you. Situations that once triggered you no longer have the same power. Words that once bothered you lose their impact. Challenges that once felt overwhelming become manageable, not because life has become easier, but because you have become stronger. This is what it means to train your mind. It is not about eliminating emotion. It is about mastering it. It is about building the ability to stay calm under pressure, to think clearly in difficult situations, and to act in a way that aligns with your purpose instead of your impulses. So when the moment comes, when something tests you, when emotions rise and the urge to react is strong, remember that you have a choice. You can follow the same old pattern, or you can step into a higher level of control. You can pause, breathe, and respond with intention. And that choice, made consistently over time, will shape the kind of person you become and the kind of life you create. As you continue moving forward with strength, clarity, and control without being pulled in every direction by every emotion that tries to take over your mind, there is a force inside you that most people misunderstand. A force, that shows up when you are angry, when you are hurt, when you are frustrated, when you feel like the world is not giving you what you deserve. That force is emotional energy, and for many people it becomes destructive. It turns into arguments, bad decisions, wasted time, and broken focus. But for those who learn how to use it, that same energy becomes fuel. Something powerful, something unstoppable. You see, energy does not disappear, it transforms. The anger you feel can either explode outward and damage everything around you, or it can be redirected inward and sharpen your focus. The pain you carry can either weigh you down or push you forward. The frustration that builds inside you can either break your discipline, or strengthen your determination. The difference is not in the emotion itself. It is in how you choose to use it. Most people react without thinking. They let their emotions take control, and in doing so, they lose direction. They speak before they think, act before they plan, and regret what they did when the moment passes. That is the cost of uncontrolled energy. It burns fast, but it leaves nothing behind. It feels intense in the moment, but it does not build anything meaningful. Focused action is different. It is controlled, intentional, and driven by purpose. When you take that same emotional energy and direct it towards something productive, everything changes. Instead of arguing, you work. Instead of complaining, you improve. Instead of sitting in your feelings, you move with intention. You take all that intensity and you give it a direction that leads somewhere. It starts with awareness. You have to recognize when emotions are rising inside you. You have to feel them without letting them overwhelm you. That moment right there is your opportunity. That is where you decide if you are going to waste that energy or use it. Instead of reacting, you pause and ask yourself where this energy can be applied in a way that moves your life forward. When you are angry, channel it into discipline. Let it push you to work harder, to train longer, to focus deeper. When you are hurt, use it to build resilience. Let it remind you why you need to grow stronger, why you need to become better. When you are frustrated, turn it into problem solving. Instead of staying stuck in what is wrong, start taking steps toward what can be improved. This is not about suppressing your emotions. It is about redirecting them. Suppression leads to pressure, and pressure eventually breaks. But redirection leads to growth. It allows you to feel everything without losing control. It allows you to take something that could destroy you and turn it into something that builds you. There is a certain power that comes when you stop wasting energy on things that do not matter. When you stop arguing with people who are not worth your time. When you stop replaying situations in your head that you cannot change. When you stop feeding negativity with your attention. That energy you save becomes available for something greater. It becomes fuel for your goals, your vision. Your progress-focused action requires discipline. It requires you to stay committed even when your emotions try to pull you in different directions. It requires you to remind yourself of what matters, to keep your eyes on the bigger picture, because emotions are temporary, but the results of your actions are lasting. When you stay focused, you start to see progress, and that progress builds momentum. Momentum is powerful. Once you start channeling your energy into the right places, things begin to move. You become more productive, more consistent, more driven. You stop feeling stuck because you are no longer wasting your energy on things that hold you back. You are using it to push yourself forward, step by step, day by day. There will be moments when it feels easier to go back to old habits, to react, to release your emotions in ways that do not serve you. That is where your discipline is tested. That is where you have to remind yourself that you are building something greater, that you are not here to be controlled by every feeling that comes and goes. You are here to take control and use what you feel as fuel for where you are going. As you continue on this path, you begin to change. You become more focused, more intentional, more in control. You stop being easily distracted by emotions because you have learned how to use them. You stop being overwhelmed because you have given your energy a purpose. You start moving with clarity, with direction, with a sense of control that others can feel, even if they cannot explain it. This is where growth happens. Not when you eliminate emotion, but when you master it. Not when you avoid feeling, but when you learn how to use what you feel to your advantage. Because inside every strong emotion is energy, and inside that energy is potential. The potential to build, to grow, to move forward. So the next time you feel that intensity rising, do not run from it and do not let it control you. Stand still, recognize it, and then give it direction. Turn it into action that serves your goals, your purpose, your future. Because when you learn to do that, you stop being controlled by your emotions, and you start using them as a force that drives you forward with strength, focus, and purpose, without wasting a single moment on reactions that do not build the life you are working toward. Most people wake up and let the day decide who they are going to be. They move based on how they feel in the moment, If they feel good, they work. If they feel tired, they slow down. If they feel discouraged, they stop. Their direction changes with every shift in mood, and over time, that inconsistency builds a life that lacks structure, purpose, and progress. That is what happens when you live by momentary moods. You become unpredictable not because life is uncertain, but because you have not decided who you are regardless of how you feel. Living by vision is a different kind of life. It requires clarity, discipline, and a deep understanding of where you are going. Vision is not something that changes every day. It is something you choose, something you commit to, something that becomes bigger than your temporary emotions. When you have a clear vision, your actions are no longer based on how you feel in the moment. They are based on where you are trying to go. Feelings will come and go. There will be days when motivation is high and everything feels possible. There will also be days when doubt creeps in, when energy is low, when nothing feels worth the effort. If you depend on those feelings to guide your actions, you will always be starting and stopping. You will move forward one day and fall back the next. But vision keeps you steady. It gives you direction even when your emotions are unstable. You have to understand that vision demands consistency. It does not care if you are tired. It does not care if you are frustrated. It does not wait for the perfect mood. It requires you to show up again and again, even when it is uncomfortable. Because the life you say you want cannot be built on occasional effort. It is built on daily action, repeated over time, guided by a clear purpose. When you start living by vision, you begin to detach from the need to feel ready before you act. You stop waiting for motivation to appear. You stop making excuses based on your mood. Instead, you move because you have decided that your goals matter more than your comfort. That decision changes everything. It shifts your focus from how you feel to what needs to be done. There is power in that shift. When your actions are guided by vision, you become more disciplined. You become more reliable. You become someone who can be trusted to follow through, not just by others, but by yourself. And that self-trust is one of the strongest foundations you can build. Because once you know that you will act regardless of how you feel, you remove one of the biggest obstacles to success. Living by vision also means learning to ignore distractions that do not align with your path. There will always be things trying to pull your attention away. People, situations, opinions, temporary pleasures. If you are guided by your mood, those distractions will win. But if you are guided by vision, you become selective. You start asking yourself if something is helping you move forward or holding you back. And if it is not aligned with your direction, you let it go. This does not mean you become emotionless. It means you put your emotions in their proper place. You acknowledge them, but you do not let them lead. You feel tired, but you keep moving. You feel uncertain, but you take the next step anyway. You feel discouraged, but you remind yourself why you started. Because your vision is stronger than any temporary feeling that tries to slow you down. There will be moments when your vision feels far away, when progress is slow and results are not visible. That is where your commitment is tested. That is where most people fall back into living by mood. They lose patience, they lose focus, and they stop. But those who stay locked into their vision, those who keep showing up even when they do not see immediate results, are the ones who eventually break through. You have to see vision as a responsibility, not just an idea. It is something you owe to yourself. It is a promise that you make and then honor through your actions. Every day you have a choice. You can follow your mood or you can follow your vision. One leads to comfort in the moment and regret over time. The other leads to discomfort in the moment and fulfillment in the long run. When you continue choosing vision, something begins to change within you. Your mind becomes stronger. Your focus becomes sharper. Your actions become more intentional. You stop being easily influenced by how you feel, because you have trained yourself to move with purpose. You begin to understand that feelings are temporary, but the results of consistent action are permanent. You start to carry yourself differently. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are in control of your direction. You are not reacting to life. You are building it, step by step, decision by decision, action by action. And that kind of control creates a level of stability that cannot be shaken by every emotional wave that comes your way. This path is not easy, but it is powerful. It requires discipline, patience, and a willingness to push forward when everything inside you is telling you to stop. But every time you choose vision over mood, you are strengthening yourself. You are building a mindset that is focused, resilient, and committed to growth. So when you wake up and your mind starts to tell you how you feel, when it tries to convince you to slow down, to wait, to hold back, remember that your feelings do not define your direction. Your vision does. You move because you have decided where you are going. You act because you understand what is required, and you keep going. Not because it always feels good, but because you are committed to becoming the person who does not let momentary moods decide a permanent future and continues forward with clarity, discipline, and an unshakable sense of purpose. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one simple truth. You are either in control of your life or your emotions are. There is no middle ground. Every decision you make, every step you take, every action you choose is shaping the future you will have to live with. And the question is not whether you feel fear, doubt, anger, or frustration, because you will feel all of them. The real question is whether you let those feelings lead you or you rise above them. You were not built to be controlled by every passing emotion. You were built to lead yourself, to stand firm when things get hard, to move forward when others fall back. That kind of strength is not given. It is earned through discipline, through awareness, through choosing purpose over impulse again and again. So from this moment forward, make a decision that no temporary feeling will decide your permanent direction. Stand up, take control, and move with intention. Because the life you want is waiting on the version of you that refuses to be ruled by emotion and chooses every single day to act with purpose, clarity, and unwavering control.